Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. And we're here in another edition of WOWSA Live with host Ned Denison from Cork, Ireland. Go ahead, Ned.
Hello, everyone. I'm an epic marathon swimmer, Triple Crown, and another 50 swims. I'm also an ice miler, and I'm currently the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. I'm going to ask our next guest to give us a much longer introduction, and then we'll have a conversation after that. Pablo, go ahead and tell us who you are.
Well, thank you, Ned. Thank you, Steven. Of course, thank you for making this lockdown period, keeping us busy with these videos and motivated about this area. So just super quick. So I am from Spain. I live in Madrid. I am 39 years old. I am an entrepreneur. I am co-founder of Clickers, that is the largest online in Spain with 100 million company. And I am not a professional swimmer. I am an amateur swimmer. I spent 10 years in the US in banking, consulting. I studied there in Boston in Harvard Business School. And I came back to Spain a few years ago to launch the business. And I've always been like an amateur swimmer. I was also a triathlete, but never professionally. And I got involved like 10 years ago in open water swimming. My dream was to cross the Strait of Gibraltar in Spain, going from Spain to Morocco. And so it was an amazing experience. And I wanted to do more. So instead of getting into kind of like the traditional path of like the great channels, I try to merge a passion with visiting developing countries and adventure swimming. So I try to look for unprecedented swims in different parts of the world that have never been swum before. When I sold one of my companies, I decided to donate part of that money to social causes by swimming around the world. So I started swimming from Senegal to Gambia. I crossed the Congo River from Angola to the Democratic Republic of Congo. I swam from Nicaragua to El Salvador, Islas Virgin Islands to Puerto Rico, Halong Bay in Vietnam. And I found it super interesting. It's not just about the sport, but also the logistical challenge in these countries. And lately, I've been more involved like in long distance swimming. So I got very deep into total immersion technique and trying to get the most out of the swimming. And I try to do longer swims. And last year, I taking advantage of the great strength of the Gulf Stream. I did a 100-kilometer swim in which the current pushed me very, very strongly, and I did part of it. So it was like a 12 hours, 21 minutes, amazing swim. And I've been doing, I was planning for other swims this year, but obviously they are in the calendar. So again, not professional swimmer, just amateur, but I'm in love with it. And what I like about this sport is that everyone that trains, nobody asks you your time and how fast you were. It's about the experiences, and you always meet amazing people. And I've been part of the WOWSA community for many years, and it's great to be part of the community. So I'm happy. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to share some of the experiences. It can be useful for our community.
Well, Pablo, this could be the end of your popularity in open water swimming. So you sold your company and you're using the money to swim around the world. No one's going to love you anymore. Everyone's going to hate you because you're doing exactly what we all want to do and can't. Let me ask you about Senegal to Gambia. Why and how did you put it together?
Yeah.
How did the idea come to you?
So, I mean, honestly, it's like I spend a lot of time in Google Maps and Google Earth trying to look for channels and countries. And I've never done like a river type of thing. I know many people have done the Amazon or Nile River or Mississippi River or other rivers around the world. So, and I wanted to do something in Africa because, you know, open water is not a big thing in in Africa, and there are many places that have never been found before. So I was interested in this river because there's like a huge current going into the ocean. So the distance is not so long. It's just 16 kilometers straight. I did 25 because of the current, but the current puts you like 6 kilometers per hour. So it's like almost 4 knots. So actually it was like a challenge, and also a logistical challenge, because in this country, it's not so easy. So I called the swimming federation, but was like one guy with 10 people, no funding, nothing. And I got my ticket and I arrived without having a boat or anything. And we went directly to go to talk to the army, to the Navy. And they say, okay, if you are crazy enough to do that, I mean, we're crazy enough to follow you. And there was the issue with crocodiles. I mean, not hippos, because the hippos are only like that, but some crocodiles, they get into this. So I said, okay, what's the plan? What's the plan if we find a crocodile? And they say, don't worry, we have the Kalashnikovs here, and we'll shoot it. It's like, okay. So you know, it's this type of, but you know, the river thing, and particularly in Africa, there's like a mysticism with rivers. People, and this is why people don't swim in Africa, because they think there are some black spirits or animals, and it was actually like a beautiful swim. Very technical. I mean, we got it wrong with the current, so it took me 9 hours. It was like 6 hours without moving, pushing 7 miles into the ocean and then coming back. But at the end of the day, that's what I like about this sport. It's not about, it's about, I like a phrase like, it's like 50% of success is to show off. No, I mean, it's like, just be there, just try it. Okay, why not? We were talking just before starting about the great white swim that we did in South Africa in 2007. So it was a crazy thing, but we tried, right? And it's not about it's not about succeeding or not, or achieving. It's about being there, the experience, the people that you meet. And I mean, just to give you an anecdote of this Gambia to Senegal to Gambia, when I was like in the middle of the swim, the boat started distancing so much from me, like 100 meters. So okay, what's going on? So then I went into the boat, and all the people, they were praying towards La Mecca. And what the guys are you doing? I mean, you are leaving me alone. He said, don't worry, we're praying for you. So, you know, Gambia is a Muslim country. But, you know, I will never forget this anecdote. And those people, in their intention, they were really caring for me, and they were really helpful. But anyway, I
think one of the things that many open water swimmers don't understand is there are millions of swims in the world that have never been done before. They're there to be taken. The Hall of Famer David Udovin used to say, somebody's always going to be faster, but you'll always be the first. And he probably did 25 first ever swims around the world. And then the other thing which you've just described to people is, when you do a first ever swim, you are guaranteed to have at least one surprise that never occurred to you. So for example, the boat crew praying is a great example. It was not in your plan, not in your thinking, and there you go, you've got a big surprise. The next swim I wanted to...
Some advice that I will give to people, and that happens to me sometimes, I'm surprised that people willingness to help. Just pick up the willingness to help from people around the world. I mean, just pick up the phone, call local swim federations, associations, army. I mean, at first people will hear you, okay, are you crazy? This is serious. But if you are constant, people will say, okay, this guy is serious. And people really want to help you. I mean, people really want to help us. So it's not easy because and you need to have some risk-taking appetite. But I think that's part of, for me, it's what I enjoy is the journey. It's not, it's the journey, the preparation, the excitement, the unknown part of it. Yeah.
There's probably somebody in Senegal right now doing a Zoom interview, and he's a boat captain, and he's saying, yeah, he said, I had this crazy guy from Spain, and we took him on this big swim, and we prayed for him, and we protected him with a Kalashnikov. And the boat pilot is probably a hero in Senegal for organizing your swim. Talk to me about the swim in Florida. I like the idea. Where can you find an open swim in the ocean somewhere with the fastest current and set the world record? These kinds of things appeal to me as a kind of older guy without much speed. So, if I could swim down Niagara Falls and set a speed record, I'd be tempted to do it. But how did the idea come to you, and how much research was it to find this particular location?
Yeah. So as you said before, maybe you are not the faster, but you could be the first. And I said, maybe you are not the faster, but you could be smarter. No? And I think sometimes, and that's something that sometimes most of you guys, and you guys are like you're a big example. It's like, open swimmer, like, it's tough, and it needs to be like cold water, and you need to suffer, and it needs to be like, there's like this stuff. But sometimes you can use the strength of the ocean into your advantage. So, obviously, many swimmers in the world could do what I did. So it's not something comparable to super big swims and people. But I think it's what I want to highlight is that the strength of the ocean. And what do you mean the ocean? So after we failed in 2017 in South Africa with this group of mad swimmers, we didn't found the Angula's current. Is one of the strongest currents in the world. I was with this idea of this 100K swim. So I was doing research, and I have a friend who is a specialist in oceanic currents. So he helped me to locate the best the currents. So the Gulf Stream is not the fastest, but is the most consistent. So it moves at the same speed all year round. And July, because of the weather, is the best way. So we locate the best place to go. And actually, the current goes, depending on the place, but it goes from 2 to up to 4 knots in some cases, like 3 knots, more or less. So, kind of like current does half of the work, and then you need to do the other half. But I think that idea of inspiring people, like swimming 100K in 12 hours, 21 minutes, 41 seconds, that means doing 100 meters in 46 seconds. No? So that's faster than the world record. Obviously, I was playing with advantage, right? But I think that's even in business. I'm investor in 28 startups. I have an OVC, and I always advise entrepreneur. Don't go against the current. Use the current in your favor. Life is so tough, so use the current. And I think that what I try to highlight is that sometimes you can do amazing things, by swimming smarter. No?
I think the only one that comes to mind for me is the swim around the island of Jersey, just north of France. It's about 60 kilometers. And swimmers are routinely doing it in 10 hours because the current goes around the island. If you're going to take 14 hours, you're not going to make it because the current changes at a certain point. But at one point when I was swimming around that island, I knew something wasn't right, and I realized I had been swimming downhill for about 5 minutes because the tidal range is about 14 meters. So there's a 14-meter tide chasing you around the island, and it's a fascinating experience. I would love this feeling of being in the tide in Florida. Did you know that you were in a fast current, or was it like walking on a train where you don't know the train is moving quickly? Because you wouldn't have had anything to see, would you?
Exactly, it was like walking in a train. I was not feeling the train because it's like you are like in a convertible belt. It's like so you don't feel the strain. But when they tell you, okay, you just swam, you are swimming at 7 kilometers per hour, it's like, what? It's like
fantastic. So I remember, and Steve might be able to help us. I think there was a guy who swam across the Atlantic and set the speed record in the swimming pool on the Queen Elizabeth boat or something. It was the same kind of thing where the boat was moving at a fast speed and he was just doing laps in the pool. Talk to us about the terrible situation in Spain with COVID, how it's affected you personally, how it's affected your friends and family.
Yeah. So yeah, as most of you know, Italy and Spain were one of the first countries in Europe to be affected. Obviously, and also France. So Spain, Italy, and France are the countries with more tourism in the world. So obviously, a lot of international travel. So we get hit first. So so the situation, as you know, is terrible. We have the highest mortality rate in the world with only Madrid 2,000 people per million. Just to give you, in New York is 1,000. So it's terrible. More than 23,000 people have died. Very similar in numbers in France or in Italy, but with smaller population in Spain. And in Spain, we have also the hardest lockdown in the developed countries. So just to give you, so we are in our 57th day of lockdown, and only last weekend kids were allowed to go out their homes for the first time. So you are not allowed to go outside to do a sport. You are not allowed to go only to go to supermarket or the pharmacy. So it's like a very severe problem. And what it happened, it's I started to I was contacted with an infected person, and I did the test, but I was tested negative in the first place because it takes like 3 or 4 days for you to take positive, and then but I started to have all the feelings, so fever, I was feeling very tired, like I was sleeping 14 hours when I normally sleep 5. I was having respiratory problems. So I definitely got the virus, no? So, and the problem is that I got at the worst moment where all the hospitals were totally collapsed. So people were waiting in the emergency rooms for 40 hours. Literally people were dying, waiting in the emergency waiting room. So it was a little bit scary, but then, you know, for young people, it's like a tough cold. So I lost the sense of smell and taste for 15 days. And I couldn't train at all. I mean, I was trying to have a bicycle, and you know, I couldn't breathe. So I spent like 2 weeks with no training. I lost almost 10% of my body weight. So, but I slowly I recovered, and by early April, I tested negative, and I started training. So I am lucky to own an endless pool in my private property. So I've been able to swim during this period. So, but it was like when going back to the water after it was terrible, because it's like, it's not, you don't recover from one day to another. So the body is like and you're feeling good, but you are not good. So it took me like 2 or 3 weeks until I got to my previous strength. And again, I've been lucky. No one in my family or close friends has been affected. But particularly elder people has been very affected in Spain, like in care homes, like 10% of the elder people in care homes died. So it's been like super harsh. But again, I think now it's across all over the world. I think other countries were quicker in doing the lockdown, so hopefully it will be the situation will be better. But for me, it was an opportunity to say, okay, what do I do after this? So as Steve knows, I have this this idea of swimming for 25 hours in an endless pool just before COVID. But once I recovered and started swimming in the pools, I was one day thinking and say, okay, what can I do to raise money for COVID, particularly for a vaccine? And I was saying, okay, why do I wanted to do this 25-hour swim in a counter current endless pool. And actually, I'm going to do it next week, next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Madrid time, and try to swim for 25 hours. And it will be more or less like 60,000 strokes, and I want to raise 60,000 euros. So I will put part of the money, and then I will do some campaign through social media and TV. And again, I just wanted to inspire. Even I am not fully recovered, and I am not 100%. But I mean, I got inspired by all the first responders, the doctors, the police, the army. I mean, all the people that have been fighting the disease, working in some cases more than 25 hours. So I think if these guys can do it, risking their lives, I mean, I can swim for 25 hours and raise money to help them, to help us, and being protected, because this is until we find a vaccine, is not going to be the end. So I hope I can raise some money, but more importantly, some awareness. I know for swimmers, it's not so easy to make a swimming pool at home. So it's frustrating not being able to swim. And again, I'm so lucky. I own my own endless pool. I just wanted to take advantage of this to raise awareness and inspire people, and give my thanks to all the heroes of this crisis that are taking care of all of us.
So Yuko, one of our Hall of Fame swimmers, she set the record in Redondo Beach. Was that 24 hours?
Yes.
And have you spoken to her and Steve? Have you figured out all of the things she did right and all of the things she would have changed? Are you now better prepared than she was?
Yeah, I spoke to her in Redondo Beach, and actually, it's funny because it's like she told me that she had done before longer swims, but I think it's the monotonous part of the counter current swim that affects you psychologically. So, and I think, and also like your muscles, like when you're in the open water, you have somehow like stress or stuff or something, but here it's like repetitive. So it's like you should be like very careful with your shoulders, because some people like lose the movement because of the repetitive. And also the night part, it's repetitive, it's at night. So the psychological aspect of being awake and keeping focus, because I mean, when you are in the water, it's like you're adrenaline, you are like, you know, currents, waves, marine life, a lot of things going on, right? So, but there is like just, it's boring, no? It's just current and then swimming. So I think the mental strength of being awake and focused, I think that's what he told me. I also spoke with another accomplished marathon swimmer, the Spanish David Meca, that, as you know, he was the first person to swim from Spain to Ibiza, the island. It was a 100-kilometer swim, also 25 hours, also helped with the current. And he told me that he was only swimming with one arm. And I've seen this type of thing in kind of like in monotonous swims. Like it's like you need to be careful with the movement. So yes, it's something that I've never swum that long. I know many swimmers have done crazy things like swimming for 50, 60, 70 hours. So obviously it's possible. And I also don't know how my body will react when I am not fully fit right now. But again, this is the beauty of this sport. You never know, but you have to try. And I said, it's 50% of success is to show up. So I'm going to to show up and
I think the other thing that Yuko had, and I was there in Redondo at the WOWSA conference, Yuko had hundreds of people come around and say hello while she was swimming, appear, wave. She would stop every hour for a drink or whatever it was, and they would cheer her on. With all the social distancing in Spain, are you going to have anybody there?
No. So we are going to have a few observers, 5 observers, but they are going to be distant, and there's not going to be public because it's not allowed to go to public events. So it's a private property, and you can have like personal trainers, people visiting your property, but you cannot have like a gathering or events or things like that. So again, that's kind of like sad because I'm not going to be able to have not even my family or my friends seeing, but we're going to put cameras, and the swim will be broadcasted 24 hours through YouTube live, and we'll be releasing videos through Instagram, LinkedIn, and other social networks. I'm happy to share this. And I think that's part of what we are learning through this crisis. And maybe that's a new thing for the future for people to broadcast swimming challenge, for people to watch open water swimming. No? I think that's one thing. Our sport, we tell the story, but you never saw the story, right? There's never was like a. So I think this all these video conference that we are doing, I think things will change also and also like social events or swimming all together, but not physically together, but in different parts of the world, but with cameras. And I think there's an opportunity for innovation in the open water swimming space in this period of social distancing.
I've never been a fan of people who swim, for example, the English Channel, that have a big whiteboard and somebody writes, Aunt Emma sends her regards, go, go, go. But with your swim, because you're going to be so alone in that tank, you might want to consider having that big whiteboard and have people writing messages. You might want to consider having a big television and have people appear on it and wave to you, because I think the sensory deprivation in that tank is going to be your biggest challenge. I mean, Yuko had a lot of people appearing at 3 o'clock in the morning, who got up especially to come down and support her. And I think when, Shelley Taylor Smith, one of her good friends, shows up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're swimming and you're Yuko, you go, okay, Shelley loves me. She got out of bed, she came down here, she's waving at me, she's standing around. I think you're going to find it very lonely out there. Yeah. So if you have a television, I'll log in and wave to you.
That's a very good idea. Thank you.
So we will wish you all the best with that, Pablo, and thank you very much for your time. I don't think I'm going to follow you at all because you're going to make me jealous swimming around the world, but I'll check on you every now and then and keep enjoying life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.